as a youth operator, do you think there's anything specific I can do to get other young people involved? Because, like, I mean, I have friends at school who are interested in technology and computers and programming and all that, but just like me, but they don't really seem that interested in radio. So I'm wondering if there's anything specific I should do to get either them or other people involved in the hobby.
Comments in the room? Michael.
Show them FT8, show them the digital modes, show them that they can put their computer and
they don't hear it.
Ham radio and enter into a wider world.
Okay, so look at other opportunities within the hobby that might be of more interest to our members. I would expand that. Maybe it's into radio-controlled robotics.
Yeah, I was going to say do a demo for satellites, which only requires pointing a Yagi antenna with an HT during a scheduled satellite.
So, comment of think about satellites. There's a lot of opportunities here.
Yeah, Mike. So clearly, I think the biggest challenge is attracting the younger generation into this hobby, and I think the numbers show that. I want to turn this question around and ask the young man that asked the question, how can he attract other young people into the hobby? Why did he join?
So, I mean, the way I joined is pretty roundabout, but I think the secret ingredient that, as you said, that is kind of, I was already very technically minded. I was a programmer. I was designing circuit boards, still am designing circuit boards. And I was on a live stream with some people who also design circuit boards, like a YouTube live stream. And I said, hey, what's the best way to learn like more about electronics and electrical engineering and circuit theory and all that? And some random person in the chat of the live stream said, get into ham radio. And I had maybe heard of it once before, but I never really thought about ham radio and me in the same thought. So I just looked into it and then got a course from Ham Radio Prep and then proceeded to forget about it for 6 months, got back into it, got my technician's license, and then the rest is history. But I think the big thing is there are a lot of teenagers and other young people out there who are very interested in technology, but they just don't know that ham radio exists. They would become hams if they knew about it, and some of them do, some of them don't. But there needs to be, I think, more communication with like.
So the ARRL's response to this question is really simple. Mm-hmm. Stimulate the educators, the STEM educators on amateur radio. And if you stimulate them, it will have the effect of stimulating many of the students of those STEM teachers. And so ARRL has run the last 3 years a Teachers Institute. This year they upped it, doubled it. There were 8 one-week sessions through the summer where teachers came to the ARR headquarters Monday through Friday. Not only did they get a dose of amateur radio, but they got things like robotics, i.e., don't talk to them about talking to somebody else in Africa. Talk to them about the technology, about where it can be used in jobs that might be of interest to the students. And so those teachers have now come back to their schools, and they're looking for clubs to affiliate with. And we're beginning a brand new initiative with Whitson High School. If you remember, a couple years ago, we did Thomas Jefferson. We're beginning the process with Whitson High School in the same kind of engagement. We got to be careful what our bandwidth is because this takes a lot of time and energy.
I wanted to ask about the STEM connection. You folks that came in a little earlier, did you guys get into the hobby through a STEM teacher? Was there some STEM connection? Yeah. Could I ask you to tell us how that happened?
I got into the hobby because my grandfather was doing it, and he would like come over and he had like a radio in his car, and I didn't find it like very interesting, but I mean it was kind of cool because like computers and stuff. And then one day I just like decided to start researching it, and I mean here I am.
What about your father?
My dad got into the hobby because I was kind of thinking about it and I wasn't really motivated to do it. And so he was like, I'll do it with you. And he's the only reason I have my license because I, I would have stopped. I would have stopped like 6 months ago, and he's just like kept me going. He keeps convincing me to get on the nets, even though we don't really say anything. So, yeah.
Can I just add to that for a sec? So it's a little bit the other way around. I got my license because she got hers. I actually didn't have any interest in ham radio prior to her showing interest, but I've really been enjoying it. The one thing that her point about me helping her was a big deal is that it was really hard, I think, for us to find an educational model that connected well, right? The first thing like her grandfather did was he got her a book. The book was like impenetrable. Like I couldn't read it, and I've got advanced degrees. Like it wasn't going anywhere. But we did, same as Micah said, we hit on hamradioprep.com, and that was like the switch on, right? Then we just kind of worked through that together. We referenced the books when we needed them. But I would say it would be easier to enter the hobby if there was a lower educational barrier, right? A lot of the books are just super hard to follow for whatever that's worth.
Good. I'm glad you found a resource that worked for you. Congratulations. Well done.